They ditched me after I paid $10,400 for the engagement dinner, so I drained every shared account and left them a surprise that had them calling me 74 times. Wow, so get this, I didn't double check the address and ended up at the wrong venue. My dad was right, I'm kind of hopeless. There I was, all alone in this huge, expensive hall, $10,400 down the drain, surrounded by cold appetizers and buzzing fluorescent lights. My mom texted later, saying, "Oops, sent you the old location," and casually told me it was too far to bother coming to the real party. Seriously, the message came in 10 minutes after the event started. By then, I'd already spent a fortune on decor, caterers, and this over-the-top flaming champagne entrance that Vanessa just had to have. Meanwhile, I was stuck watching an ice sculpture of swans slowly melt away. I didn't text anyone back, not my parents or even Vanessa, who asked, "Where are you?" at 9:47 p.m., as if I was the one who ditched. The real kicker came when my cousin posted an Instagram story later that night. It showed everyone at the party I was supposed to be at, having a blast. My dad was right in the middle, looking chummy with Vanessa's fiancé. The caption read, "Best party yet, no drama, no him." Ouch. It's like I'd finally done everyone a favor by vanishing. That's when something snapped. I cut off access to all our shared accounts like Netflix and Spotify, drained the venue card that Vanessa had used for her honeymoon plans, and then dropped a bombshell, a Dropbox folder packed with all the dirty laundry. Screenshots, audio files, everything that showed how they'd been playing me. I sent it to every group chat, even Mom's book club. It explained why I couldn't trust them anymore. By 10:03 p.m., my phone was blowing up with calls, 74 missed by midnight, to be exact. For years, they'd made me feel like I was part of the family, like I mattered. Mom would say, "Can you help just this once?" And I'd help without thinking. Vanessa always promised to pay me back, but those receipts never showed up. I'd foot the bill for everything, her Invisalign, her dog's surgery, the family phone plan, even dinner on Dad's anniversary where he toasted to family, with wine I bought. Vanessa would just roll her eyes and say, "Relax, it's just a meal." They'd always fall short on something: rent, bills, school fees for courses Vanessa would drop after 2 weeks, and I was always there to bail them out. Once, I overheard Dad joking with a cousin that I was their go-to guy in a pinch. They laughed, and I just pretended I didn't hear. The engagement party was supposed to be my last big gesture, my farewell gift. But, surprise, surprise, they hijacked that too. Vanessa had booked a second, fancier venue with my deposit, all under my name, of course. I found out when I saw the catering bill for things I'd never ordered. They took my money and literally erased me from the picture. Things didn't explode immediately, they fell apart slowly. The family chat went silent. I thought they might be feeling guilty, but I didn't confront them. I just went quiet, and that made things even worse. One day, I dropped by Vanessa's place to return some heels she'd left in my car. The door was unlocked, typical, so I let myself in. Her laptop was open on the counter, and I accidentally spotted an email with my name in the subject line, "Plan for Saturday, keep Alex out." I read it. Vanessa assured Mom I'd be mad for a few minutes but would end up treating them to brunch anyway. Mom agreed, saying it's too awkward with Dan's family if I showed up because they don't like drama. And then came the worst part. Mom ended her email with, "Of course he'll." So, pay up was always the deal, but I wasn't sure what stung more, the betrayal or knowing it was all going down exactly like I thought. That same night, my dad goes and posts a status like, "Some people really love drama. Proud of my daughter for staying above it." He didn't tag me, but he didn't need to, everyone knew. The comments were a whole show. My aunt chimed in with, "You raised her well, not like some men I won't mention." My cousin tossed in a laughing emoji and added, "You mean the family wallet?" Then I got a screenshot from another group chat. A cousin I hadn't talked to in forever brought up a family brunch plan for the day after the engagement party. No invite for me. One line hit hard: "Let's keep it clean, no meltdowns, no Alex." I just sat there at my desk, staring at the screen. Not mad, not even surprised. Just over it. The next day, Mom messages me, "Hey sweetie, can you help with the honeymoon deposit?" Vanessa's card bounced, and she's super stressed. I just ignored it. She follows up again, "It's just temporary, we'll pay you back, promise." Family means showing up, don't be petty because of the dinner thing. That's when it clicked, they never said sorry. Not once. Not for the money, not for the manipulation, and definitely not for shutting me out of something I paid for. To them, I was just a convenient ATM. But not anymore. I started combing through my bank statements and found 6 charges I didn't approve. $389 for Vanessa's dress rehearsal makeup, $1,120 to a florist I didn't know, and a shady transfer to an account ending in 82. I called the bank, flagged the account, and asked for an internal report. Then I cut off every auto payment linked to the family card. No more power bills, no more grocery top-ups, nothing. I even canceled the wedding website URL I set up for them. Now it just showed a plain white page saying, "This celebration has been canceled, refunds pending." Not entirely true, but the message was clear. The silence that followed wasn't the peaceful kind, it was loaded. Vanessa unfollowed me everywhere, Dad texted, "Grow up," and Mom sent a single rose emoji. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because they really thought I'd just returned to playing nice. They had no clue this was just the start. Fast forward to the restaurant, one of those all-white linen and candlelit fancy places where the forks cost more than my childhood groceries. Vanessa had booked the back terrace, curated, she said in an email chain I wasn't on. No invite for me, but I decided to pop in anyways. Dan, her fiancé, was chatting with his folks, Dad was already halfway through his drink, and Mom was laughing with a cousin I hadn't seen in forever. No one noticed me until the waiter politely asked, "Excuse me, are you with the Carter Lane party?" I grinned, "Unfortunately," I said and walked right in. The sound of silverware stopped midair. Vanessa's smile disappeared faster than cheap perfume. "What are you doing here?" she hissed. I shrugged, thought I'd stop by, say congrats, see what a $10,400 party looks like when you subtract the guy who paid for it. Dan looked puzzled, his dad squinted suspiciously, and my dad stood up slowly, like he still thought he was in charge. "This isn't the time, Alex." I turned to him, "You decided that when you and your little fan club acted like I was zero drama, zero him." His jaw twitched. Vanessa moved forward, "You can't just crash and ruin this." I chuckled once, coldly, "Ruin it?" "Vanessa, I footed the bill for everything, every rose, every rented champagne flute, even the playlist was under my Apple Music account." I pulled out my phone, opened screenshots, and held them up like Exhibit A. "This is your email, Mom, just make sure Alex doesn't find out, transfer the money from his card and we'll deal with it later." Vanessa went pale. I turned to Dan, "And this one's a gem, your fiancé wrote, he's a loser, but his money's good. He won't fight back, he never does." Gasps and murmurs followed. Mom stood up, flustered, "Everyone, let's not make this worse." I pressed on, "Worse, Mom? You're in on it too." "I saw your reply, of course, he'll pay, he always does. And you know what? You were right, I did, until now." I faced Dan again. He looked like he realized he was standing in a crumbling building. "Tell me, Dan, how much of your honeymoon did you pay for? Because that $3,000 charge to the Maldives villa, that was my card. I didn't do it to embarrass anyone, I just wanted to stop pretending none of it happened." Vanessa yelled, "You're insane." But her voice cracked. "No," I replied, "I'm just finally awake." Then I pulled up one more thing, a link, a shared drive with every receipt and transaction. "In case anyone needs proof," I said, and phones around the table buzzed. So, you could practically feel the tension in the air as everyone went silent. It was like the room was holding its breath, and then Dan's dad stood up and asked, super calm, "Is this true?" Dan didn't say a word. Vanessa's hands were shaking, and she tried to reach out to him, but he pulled back. Dan was like, "You said he offered to help. You said he insisted," talking really slowly. Vanessa opened her mouth like she was gonna say something but then clammed up and looked at me. I just stood there, not even blinking. Then Dan looked between his dad and Vanessa and was like, "I need some air," and walked out. Vanessa just froze, her eyes darting around, and then she yelled, "You always do this. You make everything about you." I stepped in close to Vanessa and whispered, "You turned me into a ghost, and now I'm showing everyone what you did." Then I turned to the table full of relatives, all fake smiling and sipping wine they didn't pay for, and I said, "Listen, I'm not your ATM anymore, not your backup plan, not your punching bag." Dad's voice got louder, "You're humiliating us." But I cut him off, "No, you're doing that to yourselves." And I walked out. No one followed me, except for this quiet cousin. He caught up with me in the parking lot and said, "I saw the screenshots. If you ever need someone to testify." I nodded but didn't say anything as I got in the car. For once, I didn't feel like I was running away. I felt like I was moving towards something new. They started blowing up my phone before I even left the parking garage. Mom called 7 times in a row, then texted, "Please don't do this, don't make it permanent." But it was already done. They thought we'd sit down, talk it out, cry a little, and then I'd go back to being useful, maybe a bit more bitter, but still theirs. Nope. I didn't yell or post evidence online or explain myself. I just went completely silent. By the next day, I'd cut off all payment channels I controlled, canceled utilities, mom's health insurance, wedding services, and even the shared subscriptions. Then came the softer messages. Vanessa sent a long text trying to smooth things over, saying stuff like, "We were stressed, I know it looked bad, but can we talk? And you blew things out of proportion, but I forgive you." I didn't even reply, I just deleted the whole thread. By day 3, the phone finally went quiet, and that silence was louder than any argument. I saw the family group chat light up with a cousin I barely knew saying, "Well, if he won't answer, that's on him." Day 4 was when they really started to panic. Mom couldn't get her prescription because her coverage was gone, and they noticed the wedding site was down. They tried logging into the Family Prime account and found that access had been revoked. I never responded. For the first time in years, I wasn't the one left wondering, I was the one who was out of reach. That same week, I signed a lease in another part of town. It was a smaller place on a quieter street, and no one knew my name there. I bought new furniture, not because I needed it, but because I didn't want to bring any old stuff into this new chapter of my life. I didn't block them, I just didn't update them either. I kept my old number technically, but the phone was powered off. They had no way of reaching me. I got a new SIM card and only gave that number to the bank and for two-factor authentication. It wasn't about hiding, it was about cleanly cutting ties. On day 5, Dad called. I saw his name flash on my screen, and I felt nothing. He left voicemails saying, "You're no hero, Alex. You'll end up like your grandfather," and another one about how a man doesn't run away. I listened to them once, then deleted them and didn't bother with any more. They didn't get it, it wasn't about the dinner or the screenshots. It was about me not going back this time. Every other year, I'd blow up, go quiet for a week, and then return with cash or help. But this time, I'd shut and locked every door behind me. Their messages got nastier. Vanessa accused me of ruining her life's most important moment and said I sabotaged her happiness. Mom tried a softer approach, saying, "Family isn't perfect, but it's yours." My response? Nothing. I wasn't looking for revenge. I just cut off their access and kept living my life. Mornings became peaceful, no more "Can you send a quick transfer?" texts over breakfast. Lunch breaks were no longer guilt-ridden calls. Weekends turned into actual weekends, not unpaid labor disguised as family duty. I didn't expect gratitude anymore because finally, I owed them nothing, and they owed me nothing. One night, I was walking home and got a message from an unknown number. It was a screenshot of an old subscription renewal, the last one ever in my name. It was like a final reminder of what I was leaving behind, and it felt good to know I was moving on. "Hey there, just a little caption to make sure you know I meant it." Yeah, I genuinely did. I didn't just burn the bridge, I buried it and didn't leave a trace. It had been 5 months since everything blew up. I didn't reply to messages or check the group chats. New bank, new apartment, new rules, no family ever again. It worked. I could finally breathe, my money was safe, and my mind was at peace. Quiet was just there, no longer something I had to fight for. I thought I'd managed to leave all the chaos behind, like shedding old skin, until Dan called. Unknown number, but a voice I knew too well. He started with, "I know you don't want to hear from us, but something's happened." I should have hung up, every part of me wanted to, but I stayed on the line. Vanessa opened a credit line in my name. The bank called Dan, thinking he was her husband. She used some old power of attorney papers, claiming I knew about it. She made it sound like I was somehow still on board. I marched into the bank, no lawyer, cool as a cucumber but with a dead calm intensity. The account manager, a lady in her 30s, kept glancing at my ID, her eyes darting nervously. "This isn't a mistake, Mr. Carter. These are deliberate acts of fraud." I just nodded. A personal loan, a business card for event consulting, attempts to secure COVID recovery grants, almost $18,000 all tied to me and my past life. I signed the complaint to start an investigation, and then like some cosmic joke, my mom walked in. She stopped dead in her tracks, like she'd seen a ghost. She approached slowly, like a kid who knows they're in trouble, saying, "Please, don't go through with this. You don't know the whole story. Vanessa didn't mean any harm." She panicked, thinking I'd moved on and promised to pay it back. "It was fraud," I said. "It's family, Alex," she whispered, as if that explained everything. "Exactly, and you used that word as a weapon." Her eyes filled with tears, I didn't even flinch. "You don't do this to family," she murmured. I looked straight at her and said, "You did it to me first." 3 days later, Vanessa was arrested at a salon, mid-manicure, expensive curls half-pinned, handcuffed in front of her clients who probably had heard about her quiet brother who always helped out. Someone filmed the whole thing, though I wasn't there. I didn't spread it around, but it hit TikTok, racking up over 40,000 views in a night. Vanessa shouting, "This is a mistake," clutching a designer bag bought in my name, begging them to keep it low-key, but the drama was already rolling. Headlines followed: bride to be arrested for identity theft, brother exposes $18,000 fraud, family betrayal. I didn't post about it, didn't tweet, nothing, but people still tagged me, asking if that was my sister using my name, thinking I wouldn't catch on. My quiet demeanor served up a loud lesson. Dan called off the engagement without a public fuss, just quietly disassociated. He messaged me saying he didn't know the half of it and that I was right to walk away. He apologized for ever doubting me. I didn't respond, I didn't need to. I had already said everything I needed to, they just never listened, and now, they wouldn't hear a thing from me. Weeks later, I sat in the bank again, cutting all ties to the past. The woman there asked for an emergency contact. I just smiled and said, "Leave it blank." That blank space was the cleanest slate ever, better than any apology I never got. Heading out, I noticed a familiar car parked nearby, same dent, same stale air freshener. It was Dad, just sitting there, looking small, not angry like before, but resigned. I didn't acknowledge him. I didn't owe him recognition. Here's the truth I wish I'd grasped sooner: I wasn't weak for sticking around, I was just useful, obedient, silent. They loved my silence because it gave them everything, but silence isn't loyalty. When I finally broke that silence, not with words but with actions, they had no clue how to react. So I'm out, not a victim, not a son, not a brother, not theirs. They wanted me erased, and now, they don't exist in my world. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. And hit the notification bell to stay updated with more crazy real life stories happening around you.